Do not close this video. Do not swipe away or scroll past, thinking this message is not meant for you. I am not politely asking you to stay. I am urgently telling you that what you are about to hear could matter more than you realize. Something important needs your attention right now. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal a warning that you are not expecting to hear today. A situation is forming around you. A situation so carefully arranged that if you walk into it without awareness, it could affect everything you have been building in your life. Think about this for a moment. Out of the millions of people online right now watching videos, only a handful actually paused long enough to see this message. Some people scrolled past it without thinking. Others felt curious for a second and then closed it. But you are still here. That alone should tell you something. Sometimes the most important moments in life happen quietly when we least expect them. And sometimes the right message finds the right person at the exact moment it is needed. For the past several days, something inside you may have felt slightly off. Perhaps you have had a strange feeling you could not explain. Maybe you woke up in the middle of the night for no clear reason. Maybe you noticed certain numbers repeating or small coincidences that made you pause for a moment. Many people ignore those moments and move on. But sometimes, those feelings are simply reminders to slow down and pay attention. Right now, the reason you are hearing this message is simple. Tomorrow you may face a decision. It might seem like a small decision at first. It might come through a conversation, an invitation, or an opportunity that appears suddenly. On the surface, it might look like exactly what you have been waiting for. It may feel exciting. It may even seem like the answer to something you have been hoping for. But not every opportunity that looks perfect truly leads to the future you want. That is why awareness matters. Sometimes life places choices in front of us that test our patience, our judgment, and our ability to think clearly. The challenge is that these choices rarely appear as obvious problems. Instead, they often appear as attractive possibilities. They look good on the outside. They promise quick results, fast success, or instant change. But when something pressures you to make a decision immediately without giving you time to think, that pressure itself can be a warning sign. Many people later realize that the moment that changed everything in their life was a single decision they made too quickly. You may have experienced something similar before. A situation where you felt excited at first, but later realized you should have taken more time to think. That feeling of hesitation, that quiet inner voice that tells you to pause for a moment, exists for a reason. It helps you slow down long enough to see the bigger picture. Imagine this scenario. Tomorrow you receive a message, a call, or a conversation that offers something appealing. Maybe it is a business opportunity. Maybe it is a new partnership. Maybe it is a proposal, an invitation, or a deal that looks extremely promising. Everything about it might seem to align perfectly with your goals. It might even feel like something you have been hoping for. But the key question is not how exciting the opportunity appears. The real question is whether you have taken the time to step back and think about it clearly. When people rush into decisions, they often focus only on the potential reward. They imagine the benefits, the success, the progress it could bring. But wisdom requires asking a few more questions before moving forward. Who is involved? What are the long-term consequences? Does this decision align with your values and your future plans? History is filled with examples of people who avoided serious problems simply because they paused long enough to think before acting. A simple pause can reveal details that were not obvious at first. There have been countless situations where someone almost accepted an offer that looked perfect, only to later discover it would have created major complications in their life. The difference between a wise decision and a regrettable one often comes down to patience. Patience gives you clarity. If you ever feel rushed to make an important decision immediately, take a step back. Real opportunities do not disappear simply because you took a few minutes to think. The right choices will still be there after you have considered them carefully. One of the most valuable habits you can develop is the habit of pausing before responding. When something important appears in your life, give yourself a moment to breathe and evaluate the situation from a calm perspective. Ask yourself a few simple questions. Does this opportunity truly align with the direction you want your life to go? Do you feel peaceful and confident about it? Or do you feel pressured and uncertain? Have you taken the time to seek advice or reflect before saying yes? These questions might seem simple, but they can protect you from making decisions that lead to unnecessary complications. Another important thing to remember is that you do not have to face every decision alone. Sometimes talking with a trusted friend, mentor, or family member can provide clarity that you might not see by yourself. When you share a situation with someone you trust, they may notice details that you overlooked. Perspective matters. When you are directly involved in a situation, emotions can make it harder to see things objectively. But someone outside the situation can often recognize patterns or warning signs that you might miss. That is why wise people rarely make major decisions in isolation. Instead, they pause, reflect, and gather information before moving forward. Right now, this message is simply encouraging you to slow down and approach tomorrow with awareness. There may be nothing dramatic waiting for you. But if a decision appears suddenly, remember that you have the power to pause before responding. Take a few minutes. Think clearly. Evaluate the situation carefully. You are not required to give an immediate answer to anyone. Sometimes the strongest decision you can make is simply choosing to wait until you fully understand what is happening. And when you do that, you give yourself the space to see opportunities clearly instead of reacting emotionally. Because the truth is simple. The future you want to build depends on the decisions you make today. Before we continue, take a moment to breathe and think clearly. The purpose of this message is not to scare you or create unnecessary anxiety. The purpose is awareness. Awareness gives you power over your choices. When you become aware of how situations unfold around you, you stop reacting automatically and start responding with wisdom. Many people go through life making decisions based only on excitement or pressure. When something looks appealing or arrives suddenly, they feel a rush of emotion and act quickly. Later they realize they never stopped to question whether the opportunity truly aligned with their long-term path. The truth is that not every opportunity is meant for you, even if it appears attractive at first glance. Sometimes the most important skill you can develop is the ability to recognize when something is simply not right for your life at that moment. You may not always understand the reason immediately, but the feeling of hesitation exists for a reason. It protects you from rushing into situations that could complicate your future. Think about how many times people later say, "I wish I had listened to my instincts." That sentence appears again and again in stories of regret. Someone ignores a small feeling of caution because everything else seems exciting. They assume the feeling will disappear once they move forward. Instead, the situation becomes more complicated than they expected. The lesson is simple. A moment of patience today can prevent months or even years of difficulty later. Imagine tomorrow someone approaches you with something that seems promising. It might involve money, work, business, or even a new relationship. The offer might sound convincing. The person might present it confidently. They might even create a sense of urgency, suggesting that the opportunity will disappear if you do not decide quickly. Urgency is one of the most common tools used to influence decisions. When people feel rushed, they stop analyzing details carefully. They start focusing only on the possibility of losing the opportunity, instead of evaluating whether the opportunity is actually right for them. This psychological pressure is powerful. It makes people act before they think. That is why taking a deliberate pause is so important. When you pause, you interrupt that pressure. You give your mind the space it needs to evaluate the situation logically instead of emotionally. A simple habit can make a huge difference. Whenever a decision feels urgent, give yourself a few minutes of distance before responding. Those few minutes might reveal information that was hidden in the excitement of the moment. During that pause, consider the bigger picture. Ask yourself how this decision fits into your long-term goals. Ask whether the people involved have earned your trust. Ask whether the opportunity requires you to compromise values or take risks you have not fully understood. These questions are not signs of negativity or fear. They are signs of wisdom. Wise people are not those who avoid opportunities. Wise people are those who evaluate opportunities carefully before embracing them. Consider how many successful individuals credit their achievements not only to the opportunities they accepted, but also to the ones they declined. Saying no to the wrong opportunity often creates space for the right one to appear later. This is something many people forget. They assume that every opportunity must be taken immediately, or it will disappear forever. But life rarely works that way. The opportunities that truly align with your path tend to return in different forms, or remain available long enough for you to make a thoughtful decision. Rushing into something simply because you fear missing out can lead you away from the direction you actually want to go. Instead of reacting quickly, practice observing the situation calmly. Notice how the other person communicates with you. Notice whether they respect your need to think about the decision. Notice whether they become impatient when you ask questions. Someone who truly believes in their offer will not fear your careful consideration. But someone who is trying to push you toward a quick answer may become uncomfortable when you ask for time to reflect. This difference can reveal more than words ever could. There is another important factor that people often overlook when making decisions: the influence of emotions. Excitement, hope, and anticipation can sometimes cloud judgment. When something appears to promise quick improvement in our lives, our minds naturally focus on the positive possibilities. That is human nature. But balanced thinking requires acknowledging both possibilities and risks. It requires asking not only what could go right, but also what could go wrong. This does not mean expecting negative outcomes. It simply means preparing yourself to make decisions with full awareness of the situation. Another powerful strategy is seeking a second perspective. When you share a situation with someone who is not emotionally involved, they can often analyze it more objectively. A trusted friend or mentor might notice inconsistencies or warning signs that you overlooked. Many people who avoided major mistakes in life credit their decisions to conversations with someone they trusted. A short discussion can provide clarity that hours of internal thinking cannot achieve. That is why wise decision-making often involves collaboration rather than isolation. If tomorrow presents you with something important, remember that you do not have to answer immediately. Take a moment to step away from the conversation. Reflect on what was said. If possible, speak with someone you trust and ask for their honest opinion. Sometimes hearing another perspective is enough to reveal whether the opportunity truly aligns with your path. Another thing to keep in mind is that genuine opportunities rarely depend on pressure or secrecy. When something is legitimate and beneficial, there is usually transparency. Information is shared openly. Questions are welcomed. Time is given for careful consideration. But when details are unclear or answers seem vague, that uncertainty should encourage you to proceed carefully. Clarity builds confidence. When you fully understand a situation, your decision becomes easier because you know exactly what you are accepting. If something remains confusing or incomplete, it is perfectly reasonable to request more information before making any commitment. Your future is too important to be decided in a moment of uncertainty. Remember that every major outcome in life begins with a small decision. Those decisions shape the direction of your path over time. That is why thoughtful reflection is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. When you choose patience instead of urgency, you create the opportunity to see things more clearly. And clarity allows you to recognize the difference between what looks appealing and what truly supports the life you want to build. As tomorrow approaches, simply keep this mindset with you. Stay calm, stay observant, And remember that you always have the power to pause before making a choice. Your decisions become stronger when they are made from a place of clarity rather than pressure. And when you allow yourself that clarity, you move forward with confidence instead of uncertainty. The ability to pause, reflect, and evaluate is not a weakness. It is a sign of wisdom. Because the most important opportunities in life are not the ones that rush you. They are the ones that give you the space to choose them with a clear mind. As you move forward from this moment, remember that the real power you hold is not in reacting quickly, but in responding wisely. Life constantly places crossroads in front of us. Some of those crossroads are obvious, but many appear disguised as simple everyday choices. A conversation, an invitation, a phone call, or a message can suddenly introduce a decision that quietly shifts the direction of your life. Most people underestimate how powerful a single decision can be. A small choice made in a moment of pressure can shape the path you walk for months or even years afterward. That is why awareness is so important. When you become aware of how decisions influence your future, you begin to treat those moments with the seriousness they deserve. Tomorrow might look like any other day. You may wake up, follow your normal routine, go to work, talk to people, and move through the hours without expecting anything unusual. But sometimes the moments that carry the greatest impact appear on the most ordinary days. That is why it helps to begin your day with intention. When you wake up tomorrow, take a moment before rushing into your routine. Allow your mind to settle. Remind yourself that you are going to move through the day with awareness and patience. Instead of reacting automatically to everything that comes your way, you will observe, think, and respond carefully. This simple shift in mindset can change how you experience situations. When people slow down mentally, they start noticing details they would normally overlook. They pay attention to tone of voice, timing, body language, and the overall energy of a conversation. These small observations often reveal whether a situation deserves deeper consideration. Another thing to remember is that confidence does not come from saying yes to everything. Confidence comes from knowing that you have the freedom to choose what aligns with your life and what does not. Sometimes the strongest decision you can make is simply saying, "I need time to think about it." Those words create space. They remove pressure from the moment and give you the opportunity to analyze the situation without emotional influence. Anyone who truly respects you will understand that thoughtful decisions require time. If someone becomes frustrated when you ask for time to think, that reaction itself can tell you something important. People who are confident in their offers do not fear patience. They understand that clarity builds trust. When tomorrow unfolds, remain calm even if something unexpected appears. Take a deep breath and observe the situation before speaking. Allow yourself a few minutes to reflect. Ask questions if necessary. Gather information rather than rushing toward an answer. In many cases, the process of asking questions alone can reveal whether something is truly beneficial. Questions bring transparency. They encourage honest communication and expose details that might otherwise remain hidden. If someone struggles to provide clear answers or tries to avoid your questions, that hesitation may signal that the situation deserves further evaluation. Remember that you are not obligated to accept every opportunity presented to you. Your time, energy, and attention are valuable resources. Protecting those resources is not selfish, it is responsible. When you become selective about the opportunities you accept, you create space for the experiences that truly support your goals. Another powerful tool you have is reflection. At the end of the day tomorrow, take a few moments to review how the day unfolded. Think about the conversations you had and the decisions you considered. Reflect on how you felt in each situation. Did you feel calm and confident, or did you feel pressured and uncertain? Your emotional responses can often provide valuable insight. When something aligns with your direction in life, it tends to bring a sense of calm clarity. You feel steady, focused, and confident about the decision. On the other hand, Situations that create confusion or intense pressure often indicate that something requires deeper evaluation. Learning to recognize this difference can guide you toward better decisions over time. Another important perspective to keep in mind is that life rarely presents only one opportunity. Many people worry that if they decline something today, they will never receive another chance. But the world is full of possibilities, and new opportunities appear constantly. When you trust that more possibilities will come, you free yourself from the fear of missing out. That freedom allows you to choose opportunities that truly fit your path, rather than accepting something simply because it appeared first. Patience is often the hidden ingredient behind long-term success. People who build strong careers, meaningful relationships, and stable futures rarely rush through their most important decisions. They take time to evaluate their options and move forward only when they feel confident about the direction they are choosing. This patience may not always feel exciting in the moment, but it protects you from unnecessary setbacks. As you continue moving forward in your life, remember that wisdom grows with practice. Every decision you evaluate carefully strengthens your ability to recognize patterns and make better choices in the future. Over time, you will become more confident in your judgment, because you will know that your decisions are based on thoughtful reflection rather than impulsive reactions. The goal is not perfection. No one makes perfect decisions every time. The goal is simply to approach important moments with awareness, patience, and clarity. When you do that consistently, your path begins to align more naturally with the life you want to create. There will always be moments when something appears tempting or urgent. But when you remind yourself to pause and evaluate, you gain control over the situation instead of allowing the situation to control you. This awareness transforms the way you move through life. Instead of feeling uncertain or overwhelmed by choices, you begin to see each decision as an opportunity to strengthen your direction. You recognize that every thoughtful choice brings you one step closer to the future you want. As this message comes to an end, take a moment to reflect on everything you have heard. The purpose of these words has not been to predict the future or create fear about what might happen tomorrow. The purpose has simply been to remind you that your awareness and patience are powerful tools. When you slow down and think clearly, you become far more capable of recognizing which opportunities deserve your attention and which ones should be left behind. Your future is shaped by the decisions you make every day. Some of those decisions may seem small at first, but over time, they create the path you walk. By choosing wisdom, patience, and clarity, you ensure that the path you create leads toward growth rather than regret. Tomorrow is another chance to practice that wisdom. Move through the day calmly. Observe the situations around you. Give yourself the freedom to pause before making decisions. Trust that thoughtful choices will guide you in the right direction. And remember this simple truth. When you choose patience over pressure and clarity over urgency, you give yourself the best possible chance to build the future you truly want.